Hey guys, Michael Sanchez, violin teacher here. We're going to be going over 5 practice tips for adults today, and the first one is that you guys should really pay attention to your intonation. So for those of you guys that don't know what intonation is, it's basically how in tune we play our notes on the violin. So being that the violin is a fretless instrument, it's important that we have our fingers in exactly the right spots. So a practice tip for you guys is to really practice making sure that those fingers go in the right spots, which I highly recommend using a tuner, say an INS Tuner Lite on smartphone. And basically you download that app, INS Tuner Lite, and then you can put it right on your music stand and it will tell you exactly how close you are to exact pitch. Now what you don't want to do is you don't want to get too obsessed with being perfectly in tune, because that can actually be a bad thing. So I actually recommend that you guys be about 80% consistently in tune. So actually on the INS Tuner app, it shows actually different levels of being perfectly in tune. Obviously if you're right in the middle and it's green, it's perfect. If you're just a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right, it's sort of yellow, and then you're good. I would say if you're anywhere in that good range, you're good. So highly recommend you guys to practice your intonation, possibly with that INS Tuner Lite app. Number 2 is don't discount your rhythm when you're practicing. So many students just get in the habit of just playing a piece and not really caring so much about how long certain notes are held for. So it's really important, especially when you eventually join a group or join an orchestra, that you're sort of getting used to rhythm and just how long certain notes should be held for. So for example, eventually you guys are going to learn what are called dotted quarter notes, and those are technically 1.5 beats. So if you combine a dotted quarter note with an eighth note together, they make 2 beats, and that's the same amount of time as playing 2 quarter notes. So try to get in the habit of possibly playing with a metronome. So if you guys have never used a metronome, you can download that as well on your smartphones. The one I like to use is Pro Metronome. That's a really good app. And basically you can also use that to sort of make sure that you're keeping time and not rushing or going too slow in a certain piece. And another thing you can do is sort of work up speed as you're practicing using a metronome. Number 3 is do not do just the notes and the rhythm. Try to focus on also doing things like accents in pieces and things like slurs. So when you're reading a musical piece, a lot of times what students do is they sort of just play the notes and the rhythm. They don't pay attention to those little marks like above the notes, some different little extra things. So for example, playing a piece like this is fine, but what if it had accents? Then it would sound actually like this. So what I did there is I'm sort of emphasizing the note. I'm pulling the bow a little bit faster than normal, and that's because there actually might be a little mark above the note that's indicating that that note should be more emphasized. So when you're reading sheet music, try to pay attention to more of those little symbols that are going on, and if you don't know what one is, ask or look it up, because it definitely is a part of music that's important to practice. Number 4 is create musicality. So I see so many students get really stiff when they play. They sort of have their instrument up and they have it really tight, and they never move their instrument, and they're just very mechanical. When you play the violin or any musical instrument, you want to have sort of a sense of musicality and sort of a sense of trying to practice being expressive. So like for example, when you eventually play in front of people, which even if you're just starting, eventually you'll try, hopefully. It's nice to sort of maybe move the instrument around just a little bit, sort of bob to the beat a little bit, smile when you play, have a good time. Just try to do the different things that you would do potentially if you were like a singer trying to like perform in front of a crowd. You're trying to be expressive with how you sing certain notes, stuff like that. So same thing goes with how you play the violin. Number 5 is try to see the big picture. So I see all the time students get very close-minded in that they get really discouraged easily to where if they have a bad week, they sort of feel like they just want to quit. Or if they if they have 2 really good weeks and all of a sudden something bad happens, they sort of feel like, oh, I guess I'm not cut out to play the violin. That's a really bad approach, because it actually is where I even deal with this. I've been playing 26 years. For every 2 things that you do well, you're normally going to have something that's sort of discouraging. So 2 good weeks will follow with a 3rd bad week, but over time, if you keep doing that, you're going to see positive progress. So it's really important to not be discouraged over things that happen. Maybe one day you pick up the violin and you sound really good, but then the next day not so good. So that's very normal, and the thing is, maybe that next day you'll sound that much better and be confident again. But yeah, I've had so many students just sort of quit because they get discouraged, so try not to let that be you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, And if you're interested in learning more about how to play the violin, visit my website at violintutorpro.com. Also, if you're interested in finding a really high quality instrument, we sell violins, bows, cellos, violas, you name it. And that's located on our other website at superiorviolins.com. And we do try before you buys, we do payment plans, and everything you can think of. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you guys have a great day.